of what your internal preferences are with regards to your strengths, weaknesses, talents, and skills, to mention a few. Incorporating self-awareness into our life is quite literally the key to living the life that we want. We need it to be happy, find purpose, and have a healthy relationship. Thank you.
Thank you. That was amazing. DeepShikha, what is your goal? What is self-awareness?
Self-awareness is basically being aware of our inner self. And there are two categories when it comes to self-awareness. One is being aware of our inner self, and the other is external awareness, which is related to how we see and perceive others, how we are aware of others' traits, our others' just perceptions and perspectives. So both of the awareness are very important in order to grow, strive, and thrive. And it gives one insight about your inner talents, likings, dislikings, strengths, weaknesses, and a lot more about your thoughts, feelings, how you feel with a certain person or under certain circumstance. That's something very important. Apart from that, when it comes to external awareness, it is related with the, I would say, basically leadership traits. Those who have good level of external awareness, I would say they are amazing leaders because they are empathetic. They can understand how other person is feeling and how someone is going to react on in a certain circumstance. So that gives them better insight, and further that helps them to just lead in the most effective way.
Great, thank you. Thank you. So if you just joined us, we're talking about self-awareness and mental health with Loretta and DeepShikha. And we're just diving deeper into what is self-awareness, some of the importance of self-awareness, just getting deeper into this topic. So moving forward, what is the importance of self-awareness in well-being?
So should I?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So self-awareness, I would say, is like to know about whose, whys, and hows of ourselves as well of others. Basically ourselves, because the better we know ourselves, the better we can live our lives. Either it's traits or strengths or weaknesses. So strengths, we can utilize them to just grow ourselves as well others. And when it comes to weakness, we can work on our weaknesses. We can improve them. And it's something which is crucial for living a fulfilled life and full your life with happiness, I would say. This is some very important ingredient of that recipe. Okay. Now, Loretta.
Thank you. Loretta, what are your thoughts on the importance of self-awareness in well-being?
Okay. Oprah Winfrey said on many occasions that self-awareness is the key trait for fulfillment. Indeed, it is the foundation of emotional intelligence. The ability to monitor our emotions and thoughts moment by moment is key to understanding ourselves better and to be at peace with who we are and to other people surrounding us. It gives one a sense of ownership of their lives, a pathway to knowing who you are, of which you can prioritize what gives you joy. It also enhances one's emotional intelligence and an essential factor in achieving success without feeling intimidated by external factors. Self-awareness measures progress of oneself. By getting to know your strengths, weaknesses, feelings, and emotions, you can start living actively rather than passively. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's a lot of information right there. But are there any linkages between self-awareness and mental health? DeepShikha.
Yeah, exactly. The better we know ourselves, the better we know where actually we are standing at certain point of time in our life. So that really gives us insight whether we are like healthy emotionally, physically, and all around psychologically, or we are not. So the person who is already self-aware, that if they are having any problem, like kind of anxiety, stress, is normal. But when it gets exaggerated, if awareness is already there, then surely that person will approach for help. That person will ask someone who can help him or her. So self-awareness becomes very important, because without knowing where are we actually, how are we can't just go for the right options which are available to us. So whether it comes to mental health, physical health, emotional, psychological, I would say any sort of health, self-awareness is very important. Without being unaware of without being aware of our nutritious or balanced diet, we can't eat healthy. In the same way, without being aware of our emotions, our feelings, our thoughts, we can't achieve that mental health, good level of mental health and psychological well-being. So at that point it becomes very important to be self-aware. And I would say that's both of these things are strongly connected. You see, even if a self-aware person by any chance get the problems related to mental health, they will recover it easily, because self-awareness gives us insight, resilience, and wisdom, as well ability to take charge. So they will take charge and go ahead for what is needed to be done. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we've got Abdullahi. Abdullahi, can you actually hear us? Abdullahi, can you hear us? Abdullahi, can you actually hear us? Okay, I don't think he can hear us. Now we're just going to move on. How can one be aware of what part of themselves which they usually deny? How can they know about that?
KATINDA, before you go, I'm supposed to answer question 3.
Hang on. What's... Oh, okay. Yes, go.
Okay.
Just one moment.
So-
Abdullahi, can you actually hear us? Because I don't think he can hear us. He just needs to mute because there's a lot of noise in the background. Abdullahi? Okay, that's okay. Loretta, go ahead.
Okay. Revealing your feeling is the beginning of your healing. A quote by Rick Warren. This makes sense because self-awareness is the base for understanding ourselves and making our relationships better. Taking better care of our mental health and well-being, and living a life that is fulfilling and expansive. Being self-aware also helps in identifying one's stressors, fostering on information to build effective coping mechanisms. The more you know about yourself, the better you are at adapting to life's changes. When one is self-aware, they are able to experience themselves as unique and separate individuals. This empowers one to make changes and build on areas of strengths, as well as areas to make improvements. Self-awareness is often the first step to setting goals with regards to the mental health. Thank you.
Yes, that is so true. Self-awareness is a good way to start, because if you don't really know who you are and what's going on internally for you, then it's not easy to be able to do anything on the external. It gets very difficult. Thank you very much for that. So we look like we've just lost Abdullahi. I think we'll just continue without him. So moving forward, how can one be aware of what part of themselves which they usually deny? How can they actually discover that? What is it they need to do to find out their weakness, or what is that part that is creating maybe chaos in their life and they actually don't really know what's their blind spot?
So
DeepShikha.
sure. So first of all, denial is sometimes good and it's sometimes harmful. Like when it's basically defense mechanism, I would say. Like in situations we feel ourselves offended, we use defense mechanism usually. Suppose we have some argument with someone, some loved one, suppose. with whom we are in close relationship or something like that. So if we are feeling at that point ourselves vulnerable or offended, we will definitely use defense mechanism. Sometimes we might be aware of that. Sometimes awareness must be absent in that scenario. So basically, if we are self-aware, even after we are denying, at somewhere deep inside us, we know that, yeah, here's actually we are wrong. But we are augmenting unnecessary and we are just validating ourselves to just down others, put down others, or something like that. And at some places where, like, if you are feeling a bit down, it's good to deny that so that you can feel a little uplifted. So it has both the aspects. But one needs to be aware of this, and this awareness comes with acceptance too. Because once you accept, yeah, I have these weaknesses, and once you accept, so that you can start working on that. And that's the very initial step to work on our weaknesses as well, evolve and grow along with that. So self-awareness is very important even if we are denying. Of course, I agree that feeling vulnerable is not that so easy. No one wants to feel themselves vulnerable, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
So, yeah, but sometimes one must need to acknowledge that vulnerability is the biggest strength. Because without knowing our weaknesses, without knowing our vulnerability, we can't work on them. That comes only after acknowledgement as well acceptance. So that's the basic step. And after that, we are unstoppable. And we continuously grow and evolve. So the
True.
same is applicable for each one of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so but Loretta, what do you have to add to that?
Okay. All right. I would add on by saying a quote by Aristotle that knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. End quote. Accepting yourself for who you are, knowing yourself fully without denying any aspect. One is able to fulfill this by setting aside time for self-introspection or seeking questions from trusted friends and all family members to help in knowing oneself, to mention a few. Denial halts personal growth, and it can be urged that if a person is not self-aware, then one is unable to fully experience living. If a person is in denial, they try to protect thyself to refusing to accept the truth about something that's happening in their lives. It is important to know that self-awareness is not self-judgment. Everyone needs support to get through difficult times or emotions. Denial of this can lead to isolation, depression, or in extreme cases, someone can commit suicide. So it's important to accept who you are in the first place and acknowledge that we are all vulnerable, have weaknesses, and we have to face it. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe definitely accepting that we are just what we are. We're human beings with imperfections, and it's okay to be vulnerable. I think the way we've been cultured, we are afraid to be vulnerable because we want to show strength, which is why most people don't cry, don't do all these things, or don't seek therapy when they're struggling with anything. But yeah, definitely, I think people should give themselves permission to be vulnerable and seek help or speak with people they trust when they feel they need to, talking about blind spots. I think sometimes you can't know yourself. Maybe sometimes you don't really know yourself. Somebody else needs to maybe say, that thing you always do, it's not very nice. Maybe you should improve on it or change it. But sometimes I think we might know it, but we might think it's normal because that's what we always do. So unless somebody says, hey, I think you need to consider that thing you do is annoying other people, it's not serving you, then you try to improve on that and grow from that or change. Yeah. So what are some ways?
I have to add on something here, something very
go ahead.
important actually. The ways people can just get out of this denial mode is they can start journaling, that will help them a lot, because journaling always help them to reflect, introspect, and do the needful. So journaling is something very important, and of course, approach some loved one or someone whom you trust, so that you can open up and just vent out. That's something very important. So journaling is really helpful, and conversations, like open conversations, are
So you
really
talked about channeling or journaling? Writing.
journaling. It's
Journaling.
yeah,
Journaling,
journaling,
okay.
writing. Okay,
Writing, yeah. I thought you said
Yeah.
channeling. So I was trying to
No,
figure
no,
out what do you mean by channeling.
journaling.
Yeah, that's quite important. Yeah, because, it's also, I think it's more self-reflection. Self-reflection works wonders, because if people can sit and be quiet, again, we go back to when we talk about certain things you can do, staying quiet, being maybe meditating, but maybe just staying quiet and allowing yourself to just not think, just do nothing. And allow yourself to just be, that's one thing most people, we don't do that. We're always busy being busy, but we never allow ourselves to just be a human being, just be. Yeah. So I believe when you stay silent and you sort of reflect, you sort of see where could I have improved, what did I do today? For example, in a daytime, but at the end of the day, it's good to look at what did you do in the day? How did you serve other people? Were you a decent human being, or is there some things you did that were not very pleasant, and how can you improve and make sure that doesn't happen? So I believe self-reflection is also critical key to self-awareness, because then you analyze yourself without being mean, without really judging yourself. It's more for self-growth. It's not really to say you're a bad person. It's just to say, look, I didn't do well here, but how can I improve? What can I do better next time? So yeah, I think that's also a very good thing to do. So moving forward, what are some ways to develop self-awareness? Loretta.
Okay. Learning how to become more self-aware is an early step in the creation of a life that one wants. It helps one pinpoint their passions, emotions, and progress in life through knowing their personality. Practicing mindfulness or meditation helps one to focus on the present moment and pay attention to thoughts and feelings without getting wrapped up in them. Another one is movement. During movement, one becomes more aware of their body and all the feelings that manifest in it. Further, one becomes more aware of their mind and the thoughts within it, which increases self-acceptance and self-awareness. These movements can be in any form of exercise depending with one's suitability. It can be done through yoga, pilates, or walking and running. Another one is to perform daily self-reflection. In order to have self-awareness, one must encounter self-reflection. This requires setting aside some time, hopefully every single day, to honestly look at yourself as a person and that you are vulnerable. Thank you.
I like that. Yeah, that is something I really find a very strong point, self-reflection.
Yes.
Super good. DeepShikha, what would you like to add? What are some ways to develop self-awareness?
Yeah, definitely. Mindful meditation as art therapy is there. One can do it by self, like just trying any form of art or painting anything or just sand work kind of things. Just gives one that mindfulness, and that helps developing awareness too. And of course, writing regularly, like for self-reflection, introspection, that really helps, because once you write anything, that gives you insight as well clarity. Of course, we are having thoughts in our minds, but at certain point, that's just vanished away. But once we write anything, that's there on the page. We are going to see it. We are going to analyze it, introspect it, and reflect it. So that really helps developing and building self-awareness.
Yes. You see, we seem to have a common theme of self-reflection here. Everywhere we talk about, we come back to self-reflection, because it looks like
art therapy is also amazing. Any form of art, like Zentangles, mandala art is there, and lots of art therapies are there. Even dance movements. Like if you are fully aware of yourself, so when you are moving, like moving your hand like this, or moving. There are certain postures which really helps to develop self-awareness within you. And that's why yoga works, meditation works, breathing exercises, relaxation techniques. These are a lot of stuffs which can help to develop self-awareness.
Yes. That's so nice. Thank you. And what are the advantages and disadvantages of self-awareness? So let's just start with the advantages. What are some benefits really for self-awareness? Loretta.
Okay. Self-awareness helps one to live life more authentically because you're more aware of who you are, you know your Dharma. People who are self-aware are able to understand their thoughts, feelings, actions of which they can positively manage. Additionally, they understand why other people think, feel, and act the way they do. Furthermore, it also enhances one to be more open to new information, experiences, and easily adapt to change. Thank you.
Wow. Yes. There's a lot of advantages there. What about DeepShikha? What are some advantages of self-awareness?
There's not some, there are many actually, I would say. There are many. Self-awareness is the foundation of growing and evolving. Like, it's just being aware of our thoughts, emotions, feelings, movements, and our intentions even. Our motives, what drives us, what upsets us, what gives us that high feel, and what certainly just lows us down. What upsets us, what frustrates us, what makes us happy. All these are just aspects of self-awareness. And it really helps to, again, I would repeat, introspect, reflect, grow, evolve, and being just unstoppable in this evolving journey. So there it comes really very important for any one of us. And most important, to live a fulfilled and happy life. It's something very crucial, which we need to have. We must have this. And now moving back to disadvantage part. Because
yes,
one thing, yeah, definitely. One thing has two aspects always. Nothing is having just one aspect. So the biggest disadvantage is the person who is as high as self-aware. That person used to overthink and overanalyze things, people, circumstances, situations. So that's negligible, I guess. On the cost of these much benefits, that's quite negligible. And apart from that, who is highly self-aware, that person can face anxiety, stress, such kind of issues, may feel agitated because when anything come around, which that person doesn't like, suppose. So that really, just disrupts that person's happiness or peace of mind. That develops agitation in them. So at that point, this is the disadvantage. But again, coming back to advantage, that person can just overcome it. That person can handle it with their efficiency, and they can just move on from that. But definitely, disadvantages as well, advantages, both are connected with this. Even then, if we compare, advantages are way more in numbers, in countings, than disadvantages.
Okay. We see here Edith says, hello there, enjoying the conversation. Through well-intentional criticism, we will become aware of certain things that are blind to us, but others can see. That is very true. Very true. So, Loretta, what are some disadvantages you think of self-awareness?
Wow, DeepShikha has just mentioned it all. But I can just add on that some people might think as if it's self-judgment to the point that their vulnerability is based on not being good enough and end up of analyzing everything, which can lead to depression and anxiety. Like I said, DeepShikha has mentioned a lot, so I don't want to spend much of my time there. But yes, that's that.
So moving forward, like tonight, anybody who's watching this show, what is it they need to work on? Like, what are the first steps? What are the tips you can actually give them to start practicing for self-awareness pretty much straight away? What are some tips? Loretta. DeepShikha.
Okay. Loretta, go ahead. It's your turn.
Okay, fine. I would actually encourage through self-introspection, because that is one that is often than not most neglected. We are always busy being busy. But what is important is that the power of pause to just learn, unlearn, and relearn is important, so that we can measure the progress, the growth, and how far we are coming from to where we are going is fundamental. And it also helps in knowing ourselves, even in our deepest or our saddest moments. We're able to analyze that, because we are trying to train our mind, or to tell our mind that you have to calm down, and we have to analyze that, okay, so these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, this is what I need to do, this is who I am, regardless of the busy schedules that we often try to excuse ourselves to in regards to self-awareness. So I'd actually emphasize on self-introspection, to meditate, to do whatever it's going to take for you to just pause and reflect on yourself.
Thank you. DeepShikha, what are some tips you think people should try to, implement after watching this show tonight or today?
They just use, as I have mentioned earlier, journaling is a very good way, and then comes mindful meditations. They can go along with that. They can use some art therapy for themselves, like painting, drawing, or any kind of thing. Dance, even poetry. If one is just choosing to write poems, they also help them a lot to reflect their feelings, thoughts, just very deep driven motives, intentions, pains, I would say. These helps people to just reflect on them, introspect themselves, and self-healing. From there comes self-healing. So these kind of art therapies are really helpful in developing self-awareness. Like self-awareness, from self-awareness comes healing. Because once you get self-aware, you accept it, you acknowledge it, and then you start working on that. You start working on finding ways how I can heal myself. Suppose I have got a cut here, then I need to wash it with antiseptic, then apply some tube or something here, then it will get healed. In the same way, we all of us have our inner pains, our inner wounds, which we need to heal. And for that, self-reflection is very important. And of course, meditation, mindfulness, journaling, and sometimes just staying at a pause, being silent, Silence has lots of answers, which noise can never give you. So
go ahead.
So silence is something very important we need to have in our lives. Between all these rush and chaos, silence is very important. That helps us to just pause, think, introspect, reflect, and then heal ourselves, so that we can live our life to the fullest.
So how do you... but you're talking about silence and pause is a good thing. So how do they go about that? Because talking about it is one thing. What is the step? What do they need to do? Do they just need to sit in a quiet room? What is it they need to actually do to have that quietness? And how long should they try to maintain that to be able to... No, go ahead.
Suppose someone is in office and their working table is piled up with this much files on their table, and they have to do it. Deadline is there. Fine. Definitely, peace is not there. Stress is there. Anxiety, of course, is there. So what one can do? Of course, you have to do that, but just for 2 minutes, not more than that, just for 2 minutes. Sit comfortably. Put your hands wherever you feel it at its rest position, either on your thighs or on your table or anywhere you like. And then just close your eyes. Take a couple of nice deep breaths. And it's all done. It's sorted. You will feel regenerated and recharged. And you can do that work. And after you are feeling burnout, you can again try the same thing. Oh, there's one more technique. I'm going to share that with you all. Just you can sit relaxed in a chair, close your eyes, take a couple of nice deep breaths, and imagine you are at your favorite holiday spot. Just 2 to 3 minutes, and just sort it, isn't it? That
So it is.
Feeling, yeah, that imagination will recharge you. That's it. It never takes too much.
They say imagination is everything.
Yeah. So visualization, I would say, is a very powerful technique. Very powerful technique in any situation. So visualization, practicing visualization exercises really helps. Visualization could be anything which gives you peace, which gives you happiness, and which suits you mentally, physically, in every way. That could be anything. As I have just mentioned, your favorite holiday spot, your favorite corner in your home, or having your favorite recipe, of course. Anything, it could be anything. So that just you can feel that energy is rushing throughout your nerves all together. Just 2 minutes game. All just, rushes are just sorted. All confusions are sorted. So it's just, breathing is something very important. So breathe, ease, relax, and enjoy. Keep thriving.
Thank you. Loretta, anything you want to add before we move on?
Well, basically, it's the same thing where you just have to sit down, relax, do not think anything at that moment. Close your eyes and take deep breaths. Once you take those deep breaths, at least for 2 to 3 minutes, like she said, you can do whatever you know that calms your mind. For instance, in the office setting, that's what you can do. But for some other people, they can try to walk, they can try to run, or they can sit down just to make sure that they put their mind at rest, to not think anything at that moment and analyze everything.
Yeah. I have a thing where I think also, if people are brave enough, they can actually find somebody they trust, could be a family member, friend, and they can sit down and actually try to go through their blind spots and work through all those things. And I think you do it as a game where it's sort of like what somebody says about you, something you need to improve. You don't need to feel they're criticizing you. It's more about feedback and growth. So it's really having an open mind and saying to someone, okay, I want to self-analyze myself. I know I've got some blind spots, but I need you, obviously, if it's a family member or somebody who knows you really well, to tell you what are some things about yourself that you think, you ask them the question, but what are some things about me that you think I need to improve on? And if they're honest enough and they're not afraid to lose you as a friend or a family member, they have to be really honest. And you have to be willing to listen to it, because if you don't get feedback, then you don't grow. And then you take that and work with that, because I think that is very simple, but it's very important too, because then I find, like, if you do that on a regular basis, you find that you become a better human being, because then what means that you never judge yourself harshly, you pay attention to all the things that you don't do right, and you grow. So I think that's another thing people can do if they're brave enough to take feedback without thinking that somebody's criticizing them, because a lot of people are very sensitive about criticism or feedback, because everybody wants to hear only what they want to hear. They don't want to hear the truth. And of course, the truth sets you free. So, yeah. Now, before we conclude, I know there's so many ways to protect and manage our mental health and well-being. So, Loretta, what is one thing you do for yourself on a daily basis to check in with your mental health and soothe your soul?
Self-introspection. And I normally do that through walking, because I love walking and it's something that really works best for me. when I am really caught up, let's say maybe it's in an office setting or any other busy place where I don't have the chance to walk, I make sure that I go somewhere else and then just sit back, relax. And it doesn't really take much of your time, just 2, 3 to 5 minutes. Just sit down, take deep breaths, relax, do not think anything. That's what I do actually. Okay, so do not think, but I do not think anything. I do not think anything, and then I get back to my toes and like, okay, yes, now I'm okay, something of that sort. So that's what I mainly do.
Right, great. What about DeepShikha? What is one thing you do for yourself on a daily basis to check in with your mental health and soothe your soul?
I drink a lot of water because that's really soothing, and I recommend all of us to just have that. That's something
Yes.
amazing nature gift. And apart from that, of course, deep breathing, as well visualization technique.
Yeah.
And here I won't say that I don't think anything. I would say rather that I think only those things which I actually want to think, which I love to think. I think those things, that really helps a lot.
Yes, I like that. I like that. Well, for me, I have a routine. I find myself lately, I wake up, I meditate first, and then I do my gratitude. I've got a gratitude journal. I always write my gratitude for the day, for the morning when I wake up. But then I also exercise and do all those things. But at the end of the day, I do self-reflection, which is I write down what are some things that I felt was good for me, or what is that some places I failed, I sort of fell from grace. Like, what is it I did that wasn't that pleasant or was not productive enough? Did I serve enough people? Did I go out in the world and do what is the right thing to do? And if not, why not? And then I just work with that and then decide the next day is going to be better than the day before. So yeah, there's a lot of that. That's again, journaling, writing, and self-reflection. It's very powerful. Yeah. So
yeah, I had something very important to add on here, just to develop self-awareness, because I have missed on that. So basically, people can start it with analyzing themselves. So how they can going to do this? They can go ahead with first, initially, they can write 3 things which they like. So that will give them insight about themselves. And then they can write in the similar way 3 things which they don't like. Then what actually they want in their life for themselves, what motivates them, what drives them, what are their goals, at least 3 short term, and I would say 3 long term. So these are small steps which they can start initially to develop self-awareness among themselves, and this really helps. The people whom company they like, they love to be with them. At least 3 to 5 people they can mention. Even they can mention the people whom they don't like. Doesn't matter. So yeah, definitely. It's all part of being human. It's not possible everyone is going to like everyone or dislike everyone.
No.
We all of us have our likings as well as dislikings. So we need to be aware of that. That's good. It's fine. It must be accepted. So these are simple small steps which they can improve and develop self-awareness. Like initially, then definitely they will learn by themselves, because practice creates permanence. So in the similar way, if they will just keep these techniques applying in their routine or in their lives, I would say, so definitely they will develop self-awareness, good level of self-awareness, and get their benefits.
Yes, true. Thank you. So now you can find more information on the Global Youth Mental Health Awareness by visiting our website, www.globalyouthmentalhealthawareness.org, or you can email jude@GYMHA.org. Now, Loretta and DeepShikha, where can people find you?
At Insta, DeepShikha8736, and on LinkedIn and on Facebook with the same name. And definitely via GYMHA, they can contact us anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What about Loretta? Where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook and also on LinkedIn by the same username, Loretta Chikondi Chitobemware, the one displayed on this live show.
Thank you very much. And that's all for today. Thank you, Loretta. Thank you, DeepShikha, for sharing your insights on self-awareness and mental health. I want to thank you, viewers, for being a fabulous audience and for watching the Global Youth Mental Health Awareness Show. So in the next fortnight, our topic will be dealing with anxiety, because that's one thing that is very big when it comes to mental health. From time to time, we all suffer and go through this because it's just life. That's what life is about. So until next time, may you all experience the frequencies of love and light. Stay blessed. Bye for now.